Hi there, and welcome back to Primility Primer as we start a brand new week here of Primility Primer episodes. Primility Primer, of course, is our morning reminder of the power of balancing pride and humility as we go about our daily lives. This is episode number 30. I am your host, Jared Morris. And this morning, I want to talk about how Primility's greatest strength can often be its greatest weakness. And this is definitely not unique to Primility. This is something that we see in all areas of life where our greatest strength or the greatest strength of something can also be its greatest weakness if we are not careful. Well, when I look at Primility, what I see as its greatest strength is its simplicity. It's a very simple concept as a mindset framework, which it is, right? Balance, pride, and humility as this key to making better decisions, living a more fulfilling life, all these positive benefits that come out of it. And for me, that simplicity has always been a big part of the power of Primility. And that simplicity, I think, is one of the main reasons why other people are becoming attracted to the idea, have become attracted to the idea, and really like it and appreciate it and want to incorporate it into their own lives because our lives are complicated. The world is complicated. And so when we find little oases of simplicity, I think we're drawn to them and they can be really helpful. But here's the problem with that is that strength of Primility, that simplicity can also be its greatest weakness because it's not enough to just say, hey, I'm going to balance my pride and humility. That in and of itself doesn't do anything, right? But that's kind of the simple part of Primility that we're attracted to. But just saying that, it may make us feel better in the moment. It may make us feel like we're on the right track, but it doesn't actually get us anywhere. It's kind of like saying, hey, I'm going to get in shape. And that's great that you say that. I know this because I've been saying that, but you have to actually put forth the daily effort, make the daily sacrifices, put in the daily work to actually get there. So we should never mistake simplicity for easy. And I think that is a trap that people can fall into with Primility, especially people who are just for the first time trying to use this as kind of a mental framework, a decision framework, which is how it's supposed to be used, is not really understanding the daily focus, the daily practice that it takes. Because I think that's where the true value of Primility comes out. That's where the true value has always come out for me, is not just as this big kind of overarching idea, overarching mindset that I try to live with, although that helps, but it's more as this constant daily reminder and framework and something I can pull out in tough, challenging times, actually. You know, in moments where I'm not sure what to do next, slip real quick into that kind of Primility decision-making framework and figure out which step needs to be taken next. Or in terms of a big picture goal, right? Maybe it's not in the moment trying to deal with an emotional reaction, but it's stepping back and it's looking at, okay, I have this big goal. I want to get to X. I'm at Y. What do I need to do? What's the next step that will help build that positive momentum? That's where the real value of Primility comes in. I was thinking about this because a friend of mine shared a story that she of her recent life, her recent work life, and how using Primility actually helped her get through that. And so she was telling me about this incident that happened at work, and she didn't want to go into any of the details about it because she's good like that and doesn't like gossiping about people behind their back. But she said, I had an internal conversation with myself about Primility values, and it made me feel so much better. It was really cool because it didn't just make me feel better, it made me more optimistic that this little bump in the road would get worked out, that things like this happen and you can move past them. So it was really good. The mindset is like a quick tool you can use to get a bigger perspective on something that's bothering you. Exactly. That really is what it is. As I've gone through with these Primility Primer episodes, with writing articles about Primility, with talking to people about it, with reading emails and tweets and things that people send in to me as they incorporate Primility into their own life, that's really what it is. It's less and less this big overarching concept like it was to me in the beginning. And it's much, much more about these little macro moments where, or these little micro moments, I should say, where we're faced with a decision, a binary decision to go one way or the other. What decision do we make? And Primility is that mental framework to help us make the right one. So if we feel like our emotions are tilting us a little bit towards pride, maybe we try and imbue our next decision with some humility. And if we feel like we're too far on the side of humility, we try and make a decision next that rebalances it with pride and helps us move forward. So it's never about looking 10 years into the future, right? It's about looking at the next decision, figuring out which is the best one, and then just using that to build toward the next decision and toward the next decision so that we build up that positive momentum that becomes really difficult to stop. And that, to me, is where the real value of Primility comes in. So again, I think such a great strength of Primility, and the reason why the show is catching on and why so many more people have been writing me and requesting their red wristband is that I think there's that attraction to the simplicity of it. Primility. Balance your pride and humility. It's the key to all these positive aspects of life. At least it has been for me, and I hope it is for you, right? People are attracted to that idea. But where the true power of the idea comes in, where it really works as a mental framework, where it actually impacts people on a daily basis, is in these micro situations, is as this decision-making framework, as this way to help us through difficult times that challenge us, that we're not quite sure what to do next. This is where it can really help out. And for it to do that, it's got to be a daily practice. It's got to be something that we have to focus on in the beginning, that slowly but surely becomes second nature. But it moves from being this more big abstract thing to this very active part of how we go about making decisions and just going about our daily lives. That's the true power of Primility. And so my challenge to you today, if you've been watching these episodes, if you've been thinking about the concept of Primility, is find an opportunity today or this week to where you can really use it in a real life situation, right? Maybe you're trying to set some sort of midterm goal, and it's one that you've been working on, you haven't had success getting there. Use it as a tool for self-awareness to figure out why, and then to help you make that next decision to build that positive momentum. Or maybe you get in a situation where you're having an emotional reaction to something, or your reaction isn't quite what you want it to be. Take a quick step outside of yourself. Figure out, are you being too prideful? Are you being too humble in this moment? What decision can you make next to bring it more into balance? Make that decision, and then allow that to help, again, create positive momentum moving forward, because that's all we want to do. We never want to overcomplicate it, right? The power of Primility is its simplicity, but let's just not mistake that for easy. It still needs to be something that we focus on and incorporate into our lives on a regular basis. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Primility Primer, or listening to this episode of Primility Primer on the podcast. Make sure you go to primility.com/join, get on the email list. There will be a new email today, a Monday Mindset email, which we always send out on Monday morning. And then, of course, on Friday, you will get the Primility Digest so that you can keep up with all 5 episodes from this week. If you happen to miss any, see the headline, see the description, choose which one you want to get caught up on. I hope you all have a great Monday. Let's make this a great week. And we'll be right back here tomorrow with another brand new episode of Primility Primer. Stay cognizant of your pride and humility, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow morning. Wrist bump.